For decades, Eileen Younghusband was banned from speaking out about her top secret work during World War II.
She was one of a select group of young women supporting the fighter pilots who went on to win the Battle of Britain. They worked underground in what was known as the filter room of RAF Fighter Command, collating information from the primitive radar network to identify hostile aircraft.
Now 90, Eileen has written in detail about her experiences in a new book, One Woman's War. Before we talk to her, good morning to you, let's have a very brief clip of her in action.
The value of the information passed in by the individual radar stations is carefully assessed. The assessment acts as a sieve, the result of the sieving being shown in the form of a track, and the collective information of such areas is filtered.
And that was you there. Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning.
So we always seen those old war films like the Dam Busters, the women taking the phone calls and then the long rods coming out and pushing things across the table.
Exactly. That's my pet aversion. The operation room girls got all the credit. All they did was put in a concise form what we'd been working instantly and mathematically to filter, collate and identify, because the radar stations, perhaps 3 radar stations might see the same aircraft, but looking at different angles, they would say 4+ aircraft or 20+ aircraft, according to the direction that they were looking at them. Only over the sea, of course. Radar didn't work overland at that time. The Observer Corps covered that part.
OK, so what exactly were you doing? You were tracking aircraft, were you?
We were defending, really, and giving advance warning of any hostile aircraft approaching Britain, on which we gave the air raid warning. We notified Air Sea Rescue if any of our crews crashed in the sea. We notified the Royal Observer Corps to take them over once they crossed land. It went to Churchill's War Room, but it also went to the Operations Room, who then used that information to send up the intercepting.
An awful lot of responsibility for people who are very young. I mean, you were 18 when you started?
I was 19 when I was commissioned, and most of us 19 to 24.
What were the consequences if you made a mistake?
Well, if we gave wrong information, the intercepting aircraft might be shot down. If we did the information far too late, they wouldn't probably get there, and the London would be bombed, or Portsmouth, or wherever would be bombed. It was really, time was of the essence, and accuracy was absolutely incentive. It was air traffic control without computers.
Yeah.
And so to be able to do that, you were a mathematician, was that your skill?
Well, I was good at maths.
Right.
That was it. I left school at 16, but I matriculated when I was much younger and done well at maths. And when I was asked whether I wanted to be a cook or a driver, I said clerk special duties, because I'm good at maths, and that was it.
I went in.
There was one particularly close call for Churchill, wasn't there, at one point?
Oh, yes. I was stationed then up in Preston, and he was returning early, off route, from a talk with the American president, and all our aircraft were fitted with IFF, identification friend or foe, and the pilot forgot to switch it on. And we tracked this aircraft in as not a hostile, as a doubtful raid, an X-raid, only because we didn't ever see hostile aircraft right over that part of the coming back from the Atlantic, because we went out about 300 miles. And eventually, at the last minute, we said, oh my God, it's Churchill.
Which is truly terrifying, isn't
it?
Also, it was very secret, this work, and you've only been able to speak about it, what, in the last few years or so?
Well, no, 30 years we were covered after the war with the Official Secrets Act. But then by that time we were married, we got jobs, and very few people talked about it much. And I've seen so often these ops room girls getting all the credit, and my filter room friend said, why don't you do something about it? So that's one of the reasons.
But you had a very eventful war apart from that. First of all, you were in Germany on holiday.
Just 3 weeks before war broke out.
So you had to sort of scramble home.
Had to get home.
Then afterwards you went to Belgium towards the end of the war.
I'd been married 5 weeks, and they didn't usually send married women abroad, but because we were trained specially, I was sent there on V2 detection, on the V2s landing on Antwerp.
Which were the huge rockets that the Germans were firing.
Supersonic. They could do nothing about them over Britain, but over there we could extrapolate the curve from when it fell back through the top of the curve when it was slower
to where it got
back to the launch site, and it took 25 minutes for the launching lorries before they could move off. They had to get rid of the fuel, put the winch down. So we had 6 minutes to extrapolate the curve.
Yep.
No computers, no calculating machine, the old-fashioned slide rule. And
then once you'd found the spot where they'd come from,
then intelligence married it up with the sound from the survey regiment, and the 2 bits of information were fed into a position, and our Mosquito aircraft that were constantly patrolling round the Rotterdam area would kill the lorries. And we finally killed them by the end of February, beginning of March 45, and the manufacturer was not making up enough to replace them. So that was
amazing work you did, Eileen. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much
for sharing some of your stories with us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
And Eileen's book, called One Woman's War, is out now. She'll also feature in the documentary World War II, The Last War Heroes, to be shown on Channel 4 next month.